Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, welcome back to my video. Uh, as usual, in this occasion, I will share first to you to open our video. Yeah, and then we will continue the material for 10th meeting. Okay, don't get so bored, yeah. This is what I have to do in the first video, in the first page of the video. As usual, I will share to you the vision of Latan Samashiro University menjadi universitas yang unggul, berdaya yang global, berjiwa entrepreneurship, dan askan akhlakul karimah. And then for the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education Vision is menjadi fakultas guru dan ilmu pendidikan yang unggul pada penyiapan bahan ajar berbasis digital dan edupreneur yang dapat berdaya saing global dijiwai akhlakul karimah. And then the last one, our beloved English Education Study Program Vision is menjadi program studi dengan bahasa Inggris yang unggul pada penyiapan bahan ajar berbasis digital dengan pendekatan kearifan lokal serta edupreneur yang memiliki daya saing global dijiwai akhlakul karimah. And also for one Quran Surah Al-Mujadalah verse 11 here. Hai orang-orang yang beriman, apabila dikatakan kepadamu, berlapang-lapanglah dalam majelis, maka lapangkanlah, dan saya Allah akan memberi kelapangan untukmu. Dan apabila dikatakan berilah kamu, maka berilah. Saya Allah akan meninggikan orang-orang yang beriman di antaramu dan orang-orang yang beri ilmu, pengetahuan beberapa derajat, dan Allah Maha mengetahui apa yang kamu kerjakan. That's all everyone. Our first page of the video, and then I will continue for the material here in word Englishes after we finally finish to talk about the English variety. English become a global and have a different variety in each countries, yeah, especially in Asia. We already talked about South Asian Englishes, East Asian Englishes, Southeast Asian Englishes. Now, and also African Englishes. Now we will move a bit there to talk about the theory of word Englishes itself and language acquisition theory, because both of these theories close to how language acquire, yeah, or language learn. So now let's check from the SLA theory, second language acquisition. I have a 3-point here to discuss, yeah. The first one is whether one labels it learning or acquiring an additional language is considered an individual accomplishment, and what is under focus is the cognitive, psychological, and institutional status of an individual. So it means that in SLA, both of learning or acquiring the language or the target language, it means that this person or the learners should be focused on the cognitive, psychological, and where he or she learn the target language itself. Yeah, this is come from the SLA theory. And then the second one, the spotlight may be on what mental capability are involved. What psychological factors play a role in the learning or acquisition. or whether the target language is learned in an instructional setting or acquiring through social interaction in a natural sociocultural setting. It means that after focusing on the cognitive psychological, um, when you learn or acquiring the language, new language, your capability also will influenced by the psychological factors. Yeah. So for someone who wants to learn language, it will be successful acquiring the new language. It depends on not only the cognitive but also the psychological factors. Because sometimes we can have a burden, yeah, or we have a shadow when uh, it comes from ourselves, yeah, like as an anxiety, we afraid for being judged by others when we learn a new language and it's not really fit on ourselves like that, or we still in a very low level of English, or in the language that we learn like that, we afraid, yeah, of being judged by others. So we afraid, of course, for making a mistake, that it will make a burden for our processing in learning the language, because it's natural actually to make a mistake, yeah, when we learn something. And then the next is, even when the study is based on cross section of particular population, generalization are presented in terms identical to those of individual language acquisition. Even when it means that the particular population or generalization are presented in terms identical to those of individual language acquisition. Yeah. So it is really important in SLA. And then look at here. How about uh, word English's theory said how to acquiring or learning a new language? Yeah. In word Englishes, we have a nativization and Anglicization. When it comes to the target language is English, yeah, there is an Anglicization. If our target language is Korean language, then it should be Koreanization, maybe, yeah. So let's check it here. The concern with effective communication using word Englishes depends on an awareness of nativization of English and Anglicization of the languages in contact with English. Yeah, so it means that in word English's theory, it's always appear not like an SLA should be cognitive psychological, but the first thing is always in nativization and anglicization. Yeah. Let's see one by one what is nativization and what is anglicization. Nativization refers to the adaptation of English in particular social cultural setting and leads to qualifying descriptors such as US English, Indian English, Singaporean English, and so on. This is a nativization. What a nativization means here is how someone adapted their uh, new language from their first language or from their mother tongue. Yeah, because it come from the native. Yeah, nativization come from the words native. We know that everyone, every country has their own language, so they can be their own native language. If you are an Indonesian, then you are a native Indonesian language like that. If you are a US or a UK, uh, that is you are native English like that, yeah. If you are a Korean, and then your native is Korean English. So, in a word English is why that is a different, yeah, different kinds of English in different countries because they have or it influenced by their native language. Yeah. So we can say it US English, UK English, Indian English, Indonesian English, Singaporean English, Korean English, and so on. Yeah. All of the countries speak English, learn English, but in different way of. Yeah. We already talk about it a lot uh, in our Asian Englishes. Yeah. That is how the word English theory look at the nativization. And then for the Anglicization refers to the manifest influences of English on other languages in a given repertoire. Levels of languages from pronunciation through literary genres may be affected in discernible ways. And for the Anglicization, it can be different, yeah, from nativization because Anglicization is a person try to learn like an how to make everything looks like an English like that, yeah. And it can be have a different level of English, of course. It depends on what you learn. In Anglicization, of course, also you will need your competence, yeah, your cognitive competence of the language. And the pronunciation also, everything needs to be learned in Anglicization. And the other theory from word Anglicis is also come from code mixing and code switching. Yeah. Sometimes when we learn language that is not our first language, yeah, it can be a second language or uh, I would say foreign language like that. Language that you learn but rarely you use in daily life. Yeah. Sometimes you will learn how to do what you have to do, and then you can also mix or switch the language. If you see today's music, several kinds of genre music inside their music, the singer write their lyrics, yeah, in two or more languages, yeah. Sometimes the sentence can be mixed, sometimes the sentence can be switched from the lyric. That is what happened in our daily life today, yeah, because now technology make everyone around the world feel at the same place, yeah, even even if they are far away. So their communication can really easy to get along, yeah, with different culture or different languages. So they try to engage each other and they can mix and switch the language, yeah. Sometimes the switching or the mixing it's around the first language or the mother tongue with their target language during the communication like that, yeah. So from one language to another within sentences and across sentences and larger language domains. Yeah, it can be switch or mix, yeah. Together comprise a major characteristic of the users of word Englishes, which is readily observable, but capacity noticeably grasped by monolingual investigators. That is everyone. The theory from word Englishes. So now, why SLA theories and word Englishes do not connect? Let's see here. Why? The first one is although the vast majority of learners of English learn the language in the outer and expanding circles, their present and concern have rarely been acknowledged in building theories of second language acquisition. Yeah, because if you take a look again, SLA is merely focused on cognitive and psychology. But for the word English theory, they come from the something like phenomenon, yeah, phenomenon that happen during a person acquiring or learning the target language, like as a it because the phenomenon causing from the nativization or causing from the anglicization, like that, yeah. And then, most theory building activities have treated the foreign learners who happen to join an institution of higher learning and the immigrant population in the inner circle, the ASL context as primary sources of data. Like this. So, in the past, as SLA still learn some of the scholar of SLA theory, learn everything taking from the foreign learners who join some institution, yeah, and learn the language, yeah, learn the target language like that. That's it. And then, so the data is really, uh, what is it? terbatas ya. I'm switching my language here from English to Indonesia. Since English is taught in most outer circle countries by indigenous teachers using locally produced material, and the other one is also uh, in expanding an outer circle because that's so many countries around the world that already speak English rather than the native English itself. Of course, the demand of learning the English and also the English teacher is higher, yeah. So, but these countries couldn't afford to pay the salary to import the English teacher that come from the native countries. That's why how to teach the English, these countries use indigenous teachers or local teachers from their own countries that they think they are have a good English to teach the students. Yeah, that's why their English is not a perfect like the native. So it means that when these indigenous teachers teach the student, the outcome of the English will be different, will have a different levels like that, everyone. That's make more variant in English. Especially in Indonesia, you know that there are so many cultures, so many languages, and if you stay in Kalimantan or in Sumatra or in Java Island, it can be different when these indigenous teachers teach the English. And then, to the extent that the learners or context of learning in the expanding circle are mentioned in the so-called English as a foreign language situation, it is in the context of how to prepare inner circle teachers to deal with them like that. Yeah. So here also there is a CDAR and CDAR observe that the lack of mutual relevance of SLA theory and word Englishes label indigenous varieties of English to each other is based on a number of supposition. Okay, look at this, everyone. The goal of SLA is to acquire native-like competence in the target language. Be as a proficient and fluent as a native speaker in pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary, and also in the socio-cultural convention of language use. That's SLA. So, when the scholar of SLA said you want to acquire or learn a target language, you have to be like a native. It based on the pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and so on. You must learn the correct one like a native. But in a word English, it's okay, yeah. Pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary somehow can be different. Why? Because there is a nativization and Anglicization that influence the pronunciation, grammar, and vocabularies they produce, yeah. And then the entire range and depth of input is or ought to be available to the learner so that they can achieve the goals of language acquisition defined above. Uh, yeah, sure, because each person have their level of competence. Yeah, we can just say all the level competence of every person is the same. No, so it will be influence also for the output when they learn a language. Someone can be fast, become a fast and fluent in English, but sometimes another person couldn't do such like that. Yeah, it's a natural. It's okay. And then what function the target language serve in the learners community is irrelevant to SLA, of course, because when we look at the communities, there will be much and more variation, yeah, from the culture and many more. And for the learner's previous language are not relevant to SLA except as a source of negative transfer, which is undesirable, or a source of positive transfer, which is acceptable. And the last one, success in SLA depends crucially, crucially upon integrative motivation, the desire to become part of the sociocultural milieu of the native speaker and of the target language. So this assumption consequently lead to hypothesis that treats the following as axiom on which all theoretical formulation and empirical research are based. Yeah. The first one is the learners in the ASL setting are expected to acquire the competence to use the language effectively with native speaker. The norm is the idealized grammar that underlies the native speaker competence as envisioned in linguistic theory. The grammars of standard American or British English, Australian, Canadian, and New Zealand English are still rare as norms. Yeah. And then the input or ought to be in the entire range of English is the American or British English speaking situation. Can be a different output, yeah, but still, uh, you will be sound like a British or like a America. Learners are or have to be motivated to acquire the language and the sociocultural norms and values, the models of English they are acquiring. The role that are could be assigned to the primary languages of the learners are either impediment or in some cases facilitators to target language acquisition. And the last one, any difference from American or British models in pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, and language use is evidence of failure. The grammatical differences are clues to fossilization, and the differences in speech act discourse strategies to pragmatic failure. It can be anything, yeah. So, the acquisition of English in the outer and expanding circle can be discussed, yeah, like this one. Everyone, this is the how happen in outer and expanding circle, the characteristic, yeah. A realistic characterization of acquisition of English is outside the inner circle, and even to some communities within the inner circle involve an understanding of the following points. English is one language among several others in the linguistic repertoires of the multilingual users English. The domains of use are not the same as among the monolingual speakers of the inner circles, hence the competencies the multilingual users of English exhibit are different. They are not deficient speaker writer, they are proficient user of English plus other language in the domains where the specific code or codes are appropriate. It means that because in inner circle only have one language, yeah, so their variation merely just among the accent. It can be US, Australia, UK. That's the accent. But if you take a look on the outer and expanded circle, the variation is it's so wider, yeah, from the culture, from the language itself. They have a multiple language. That's why their cognitive or competence in acquiring the language, the target language, will have a different level. Yeah, it based on this target language as a foreign language or as a second language, and how far they learn this language. Yeah, and what kinds of language they have as their first language. It it will really influence everything. And then the input that is available to learners of English is a majority of author and expanding circle context is local. Most teachers are proficient in their own varieties of English and teach through the bilingual methods. Use the primary language of the students in the classroom to teach English. The resources of the familiar local language are exploited to teach the unfamiliar language English, which is an effective strategy. Yeah. And then the concept of interlanguage and fossilization are not the appropriate model for searching word Englishes, as has been pointed out. Interlanguage is an unstable system, whereas Indian, Nigerian, Singaporean, and Kenyan English is many as respect are as stable as American or British English. Secondly, users of these varieties are not trying to achieve some other target variety. Thirdly, those characteristics that are labeled fossilization are stable, normal features of this variety, unlike the fossilization, pronunciation, or structure of language learner, they don't appear only when speaker or writers are careless or under stress or anxious. Yeah, you have to remember that not only nativization or Anglicization, but when you learn a new language and you have your own mother tongue, there is also a fossilization. Fossilization uh, will s- will be something like a burden when you are in an adult learners because y- it can be said that when you have speak more than 20 years or 30 years and so on using a language, yeah, like me, since I'm an Indonesian, I speak Indonesia more than the other languages, yeah, until now. So maybe I have a fossilization also in several or another language that's hard for me, that make me hard to learn a new language. It's okay, yeah, but we can always try and practice, yeah, to get our target language. And then the attitude towards and the appraisal of the role of first or primary language in SLA need to recognize the fact that in multilingual situation, primary languages have a very positive part to play in the acquisition of the additional target language. All languages in the community's repertoire have mutually complementary and sustaining roles. So, everyone, we are in the conclusion. So, the conclusion between SLA and word English theory, what it should be, the word English perspective have a great deal to contribute to an understanding of a language capacity of humans and enrich the SLA theory. SLA theory, looking back to the cognitive and also the psychology, it's good. But if you only focus on the cognitive and psychology, it's not enough because in word Anglicis, we know nativization, Anglicization, and fossilization. This is three kinds of phenomenon when someone is learning or acquiring the new language. So why I have anxiety? It can be from uh, nativization, fossilization, or Anglicization. It's okay, yeah. So both of word Anglicis and SLA should be together, yeah. And compile together like that. That's the conclusion, the end, yeah. So everyone, before I really make it to an end, as usual, I will also give you the assignment, yeah, for this meeting. The assignment. Wait. Where is the assignment, everyone? Yeah, here you go. The assignment should be here. I will share to you also. This is the assignment. Yeah. You have to watch my recorded teaching video. After understanding the material, you have to do the assignment by summarizing all the materials I already explained. You need to outline 3 important key points. Solve the material and explain by yourself by recording into a video. And for your video's duration, around 3 minutes or more, yeah. Share your link video in a Google Classroom assignment as the proof you did the assignment. That's all, everyone, that I can share to you in this video. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you on our next video. Bye bye.